Okay, here we go. Kubey Tityus. I have been carrying this knife for, I would say, about better part of a week. Hasn't been quite a week yet. And it is a larger knife than I am typically used to, or at least that I'm used to nowadays. When I first really started collecting pocket knives, this was kind of like what I had in mind in terms of size. This is the CJRB Feldspar, a fantastic knife. I think you can actually find this I think around like 30 bucks, maybe even less. When I purchased this was around 20, between 20 and 30 bucks. And I got this for my very, very special poop brother, so that we could be knife brothers as well. We have identical versions with the JG10. The ergonomics on this thing are fantastic. It feels great. I may do a review on this at some point, but we both have this. And at the time, this is what I was used to. You can see here, though, that the Kubey Tityus, it quite literally eclipses this blade. Like maybe with the little hole there, you can see some of it. But the Kubey Tityus is a larger knife than I was traditionally used to. But honestly, man, like after carrying this thing around for a while, I really I'm really digging it. It is a sizable knife. I wouldn't say it's a large knife, but it's bigger than what I'm used to. One of the things that I really appreciated, and I only started doing this with this knife, is um, I could do the reverse flick. I could never really do that before. This has a nice big a slot for it. It's chamfered on it, so it doesn't chew up your nail or anything like that. One of the things I really love about it is if you pinch it like this and you reverse flick it, you go straight into your grip. If you're using that choil. The ergonomics on this thing are quite good for a $50 knife. It would be nice if this was a bit contoured and things like that, but they do offer an upscaled version of this for about 90 sub $100 with titanium and 14C blade steel. This one comes in D2 and G10. I've mentioned before that I'm not necessarily a fan of D2, partly because on the feldspar, you can see that there is a bit of corrosion, on here when I was trimming some stuff in the garden, like some green onion or something like that. And I didn't really wipe it off very well. Then again, I'm notorious for treating my knives like shit. But yeah, the lack of corrosion resistance on D2 is really what turns me off from it. But it's a tool steel. It's pretty tough stuff. And this seems like it's thick enough that you might even be able to like baton this thing. I don't know. I haven't tried to. And it's pretty tough. Given the fact that it's a $50 knife. 50 bucks. This is a pretty good deal. Um, my wife thinks that the handle is utterly heinous. She has some strong opinions of it. My daughter says it looks like Lego. Yeah, it kind of does. I entirely got it because I'm typically a fan of unfinished or metallic looking blade steel colors. This came in black steel and different color G10 scales. While I did like the color of the G10 scales on the ones with the black blades, I didn't really want a black blade. It's a preference. Maybe I could have should have gotten it. I think part of the reason is because in past black blades that I've had before, they've gotten a bit scuffed, and it ruins the aesthetic of the blade. But beyond that, it is a flipper, and I've sort of been flippers have been falling out of favor for me lately. I feel like it just messes with the lines of the thing. You got this nice little shave and everything like that, and you got this little knife erection that just comes out. If they could have done something where maybe they made it more subtle, like on some other knives, but again, this is a $50 knife. Nowadays, $50 is that's about the entry level for a proper blade. You can find some other things like the Dozier, the K-bar Dozier, that comes in at about I think like 25 bucks nowadays. You can still find things like the Ontario Rat 2, things like that comes in around like 30 bucks or so. But those are knives that have been around for a very, very long time. They have niches, that they fill. This I think is relatively new. I don't know when this came out, but it's definitely doesn't have the same lineage as the other knives that I just mentioned now. But it feels really good. You know, the size of it doesn't put me off. It's not honking like, oh my goodness, you know, what are you doing carrying that thing around in your pocket? Is that a knife in your pocket? Or are you just glad to see me? No, this is something that I think is good for regular carry. I would carry it in jeans. I typically wear sweatpants because I'm very lazy, and I don't care about fashion, at least not when I'm just day to day stuff. I need functionality. Um, just like in my knives, this is a functional knife. It will do the job, and I use it to cut a couple things here and there. And it's been very pleasant to use. Um, I don't know how much longer I'll carry this around, just because I have a couple of other things coming through, and will this make it back into my pocket? My primary, or at least my preferred, is still my Hogue Deca, and that's just because it goes in and out of my, no matter what pants I'm wearing, it goes in and out just super easy. I love the crossbar lock on it. Actually, if this thing had a crossbar lock, oh my goodness, mwah, it'd be fantastic. I really am digging the crossbar lock. I got the Deca because I couldn't afford, or I didn't want to shell out for a Benchmade. Um, the name is escaping me right now. Bug out, mini bug out. I wanted to get one of those, but the Deco, it was an alternative. It was a few bucks cheaper. I think it was like 120, 130 or something like that. And as far as knives goes, that's not too much, too very expensive for a decent, a very decent knife that's going to have a lot of usability. Um, it's definitely not one of those knives that you baby like a $200 or $300 knife or something like that. No, it's at that point it's meant to be used, and it's going to be handle almost any job that you give it. The difference between this and something like the Deca or the Bug Out is that this feels much more robust, much more heavy duty. Its construction feels a lot more solid. Again, the D2 steel is probably the only thing that I would say is a downside. That, and that it's a flipper. This loophole, you could slow roll it. The flick is fantastic on this. I really enjoy flicking it. I flick it all the time, just mindlessly, because I love it so much. And my wife just says, it's really annoying. That's not what she sounds like. She's not a nag. I'm just an asshole. But yeah, she's like, that's kind of nice, just clicking, and she's trying to read her book. But yeah, I really, I've had a lot of fun with this knife. It feels kind of like, it feels chintzy, just because of the G10, and the hollowed out scales and everything like that. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see right there that it's hollowed out. Um, it kind of sounds and feels chintzy in that respect, but man, it scratches the itch of what you would want out of a knife. Again, other than the D2, the corrosion resistance. I'm surprised that I guess D2 is becoming more affordable now than 14CN. Even if this was something like 8CR, I'd be happy with it. Just that corrosion resistance, you get a tougher steel. Yeah, it doesn't keep its edge as well. Maybe this is for someone who isn't going to sharpen their own knives. I don't like to sharpen knives. I haven't quite gotten into that part of the hobby yet. I assume I will at some point. But yeah, uh, Kubey Tityus. I would recommend it. I think it's pretty good for someone who is, willing to shell out about $50 for a knife that, and they can actually care for a blade that is not corrosion resistant. You will stain this thing, and it's going to compromise it. But pretty good. I wish I could have gotten that a little discount on this thing, but for $50, I'm not going to be a cheapo stickler of it. So there you go. That's the Kubey Tityus. Check it out if you have the interest. Till then, stay safe, and don't screw up your blades.